Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here for New Mexico's next governor, Candidate Perspectives. We are 10 minutes to showtime. Just 10 minutes to showtime. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Jerry Shallow. I'm president of the Rio Rancho Regional Chamber, and it's great to see all of you here tonight. Welcome to the next governor's candidate perspective. We're excited to have all the candidates here, election ballot coming up here in June. This is a conversation that focuses in on the issues that matter most to build our economy, our workforce, and the opportunity to create a stronger future with safer communities, better schools, and less poverty. This evening is also a testament to what happens when different organizations get together. This event is proudly being hosted by all the partnership between Santa Fe Chamber, the New Mexico Chamber, the Rio Rancho Regional Chamber, the Santa Fe Hispanic Chamber, and the New Mexico Veterans Chamber. Let's give all the chambers a round of applause for doing this. So together, these organizations represent a powerful, unified commitment to strengthening New Mexico's business environment, because when we work together, we prosper together. We also extend a sincere thanks to our sponsors, Homewise and the Family Leadership Council of New Mexico. Let's give our sponsors an applause. Their support this evening ensures that conversations like these that we're going to have today are at the forefront of our state. To our audience, which includes business leaders, entrepreneurs, elected officials, policymakers, chamber members, and voters, thank you for being here today. This is a great turnout. It's definitely a sellout crowd. So thank you guys so much. Give yourselves a round of applause as well. All right, so now let's review the format for this evening. Format is all the candidates participating in this event this evening are all on the primary ballot based on the Secretary of State's candidate portal as of today. Additional opportunities will be presented to other candidates as they become qualified. This is not a debate. This is an opportunity to hear directly from each one of the candidates, their vision, their priorities, their ideas, and on top of that, how are they going to move New Mexico forward? Our goal is a thoughtful dialogue that helps make your decisions on how you're going to vote in the primary coming up. Moderators will guide the discussion and manage time. Responses are timed and will be strictly adhered to. Candidates will not engage with another's answers, and we ask for professionalism and respect from all of the folks in this room this evening. So tonight is not about division, it's about direction. And now it's my honor to introduce the individuals who will help lead tonight's conversation. Our first moderator is Ricky Lee Chavez, is founder of Capital Counsel and Counseling, and serves as the Public Policy Chair for the Santa Fe Chamber of Commerce. Our second moderator, Matthew Jaramillo, is the chair of the New Mexico Chamber of Commerce and a public and government professional for ExxonMobil. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our moderators to the stage, Ricky Lee Chavez and Matthew Jaramillo.
Thank you, Jerry. Matt, I'm glad to share this stage with you. Good evening, folks. My name is Ricky Lee Chavez, and I'm going to welcome our candidates to the stage. We have randomly drawn the order for how they're going to answer the questions tonight, and we're going to have them seated in how they're going to answer segment 4, which is our lightning round. So I'd like to first welcome to the stage to sit next to our moderator, Sam Bregman. Seated next to Sam will be Gregg Hull. Seated next to Gregg will be Deb Haaland. Next to Deb, we will have Duke Rodriguez. And next to Duke, we will have Doug Turner. Thank you so much again, Jerry, for giving us the decorum rules. Also, there is a program that you can scan from the QR codes that are around the auditorium, and all of the questions are a part of that program.
Yes, and thank you, Ricky, and thank everyone for being here. You can tell this is an important election just by looking around the crowd, so we really appreciate everyone that's here, especially the interest from our current elected officials, both at the state and at the local and county level. Let's give them a round of applause. We have some phenomenal former legislators and county and local elected officials as well, and some great candidates that are looking to make a difference for the state of New Mexico this year. So we really appreciate everything that you're doing, because as these folks up here know, it's not an easy task, but it's definitely one that we do need to take seriously, because New Mexico has the opportunity to be a phenomenal state, and it's going to take leadership, and it's going to be those that really stick their neck out on the line to make that difference. So we really appreciate what you do.
All right, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is segment one. Candidates are going to have 60 seconds each. We're going to start with our candidate, Sam Bregman, on this first question. Just so folks know, our candidates can see their time here, and we're going to just ask you all to please be respectful of that. In 1 minute, what is the single most important business priority you would advance as governor in your first 2 years? And what specific outcomes would New Mexicans see as a result?
Well, good evening, everybody. It's nice to be here. Obviously, I'm going to be a little rushed because we only got a minute for this answer. New Mexico needs to be the easiest place in this region, if not in this country, to start, grow, and keep a business. And in order to do that, we have to be mindful of the fact that right now there is far too much red tape when it comes to small business. 98% of businesses in New Mexico are small business. We have to be a partner, not an obstacle to them succeeding. And I know that we can do that. We need to have a regulatory environment that is consistent and not where goalposts move all the time. We need to have a place where jobs are created. And we need to make sure that businesses, and when we look back in 2 years from now, we'll look back at this administration and say, businesses have the opportunity to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Gregg Holt.
Well, thank you and welcome everybody. I appreciate the chambers for getting together to do this. First thing I would do right out of the gate so that we would have some remarkable results in job growth is create a liaison from the governor's office to work directly with the small business community, starting with the chambers, the state chamber, the SBA, making sure that we're looking at the small businesses that are in our state right now. These are the companies that have made investments in our communities. These are the companies and our neighbors that have said, I want to be in New Mexico. I want to invest in New Mexico. I want to make my living, raise my family in New Mexico. And that only comes if you're creating opportunity. And so having this liaison and creating a committee really that will talk to the business leaders to see exactly how we need to peel back the red tape and make the permitting process a lot smoother and make sure that when you're operating a business in New Mexico, you're feeling welcome and you're feeling appreciated.
Thank you. Deb Haaland.
Thank you so much, Ricky. Hello, everyone, and I'm so happy to join you in this beautiful building here in Santa Fe. So Small businesses are the lifeblood of our state, and it's important that we have a one-stop shop where small businesses can get every single thing they need. Licensing, permitting, apply for a tax ID number, whatever it is they need to do to open a small business, it should be in one place so that they can be efficient about it. We need to, I have an idea to increase our site readiness. So when businesses are ready to open a brick and mortar location, the site is ready. It's ready to be hooked up. It has electricity. It has water, running water. The walls are painted. Things are ready to make that small business happen here in New Mexico. And I believe also that the governor's office needs to be engaged to ensure that the business community has a seat at the table before decisions are made.
Thank you. Duke?
Good evening. My message is very simple, and I think most of you all will agree. New Mexico is not a poor state. We all have to agree to that fact. We are not a poor state, but we are absolutely a poorly run state. The solutions to get us back on track, to make us that great state again, include some basic things. I think everyone in this room will agree. Eliminate state personal income tax. Join the other 9 states who've eliminated personal income tax. We are a state of wealth. Eliminate gross receipts tax on retail sales. Start putting money back in families' pockets. We've forgotten. We have to make the money available so families can make the right decisions for their household. And again, a message I've heard everywhere I've gone in this state, they've said, Duke, reduce or eliminate property tax. And do you realize all these changes are about making New Mexico successful, putting it in a position to create jobs, and families will do better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Doug?
So I agree on the gross receipts tax. I mean, it's the most regressive tax that we have, and it actually impacts those who can least afford it. So that is a key priority. You know, if we look at our surrounding states, you know, we're sitting at somewhere about 8%, you know, in Albuquerque. It's significantly lower, and it really matters from a competitive perspective. I think we need to continue the work that has been done from this administration and from the previous administration on expanding our economy, and what that means is diversification. So we are not just relying on the oil and gas that drives us and drives this economy, which of course we can't get rid of. But the other thing is I think we have a huge deficit in infrastructure in this state. We have something on the range of $7 billion hole in our roads and infrastructure, and I think we need to address that immediately. That's going to create jobs. It's going to expand our economy, just fixing roads. And that is a key priority for me.
Great, thank you for that. So let's move on to housing. Housing is often cited as the #1 barrier to workforce recruitment. What is the single most effective action the state can take to improving housing availability? Specifically, does the state have a role in overriding local zoning to ensure density, or should the land use remain strictly as a local decision? Let's start with Doug.
Yeah, so, I mean, zoning is almost entirely a local decision as it is now, but I do think that we have a problem, and that is density. So the more density we have, the more people we can fit into a smaller place, the lower impact it is on our infrastructure, and the lower cost it is in terms of building new housing. I think we have 32,000 housing units, a shortage of 32,000 housing units. What I don't think, though, Matt, is that we're going to solve that by dictating to communities on what they do. I think there needs to be some sort of partnership where, you know, the state level invests in infrastructure to support housing, but that is tied to improvements in density and improvements in zoning policy in municipalities. Sticks, I don't think, are going to be productive because each community is unique in its own way. But by providing resources, you know, whether it's planning, whether it's assistance in rezoning, you know, areas, I think that is a huge impact that the state can have. But, you know, we have to also have an environment where, you know, municipalities work with developers so it's easy to develop. And that is a big problem. I mean, there's one instance in one county where they're trying to charge a $12,000 hookup just for water on a new house. And that's not tenable for a developer because that ends up costing the homeowner who can't afford the house in the first place even more money.
Thank you. Duke.
We have to be real honest about why we face a housing challenge in this state. We do not have a booming population. We have a stagnant economy. So it isn't the fact or a problem that we have too few roofs. We just don't have the right products being built in the right places and for the right price. We've got to make bold decisions to make housing more affordable. And that means the state needs to actively use its wealth in helping young families, those under 30, providing them interest-free loans to help make that down payment. Eliminating, do you realize when they do the calculation on that mortgage, what goes into it? Principal, interest, tax, insurance, tax. Eliminate property tax. We've got to move every obstacle out of the way to make it more affordable. Every issue that you will hear tonight talks about affordability, and if we don't recognize people can't afford it, it's just conversation. Our population's not growing yet, not booming, and while we have this opportunity, let's fix housing, make it simply more affordable. Thank you.
Sam.
Thank you. We have to dramatically increase our housing in this state. We know that. We know it certainly in this community, and affordable housing. And I would respectfully suggest to you, too many times we have people that come with capital that want to do affordable housing projects, and they're submitted to a local community, a local government entity, and it drags on and on and on. And there's never approvals granted. I think we need to put local communities on a shot clock. I absolutely believe that when people are willing to invest in capital, when there are jobs at stake, and most importantly, when there's housing at stake, we need to say, you've got this length of time to approve or disapprove, or this length of time to make whatever additions you want to suggest local government body. But we need to get projects moving. That's really, really important. I also think that the state can absolutely help with down payment assistance. We have the money to do this. And if we don't do this, too many people, they can afford the rent, they can even afford the monthly payment on that mortgage, but they don't have the down payment to get into that starter home. And when we get people in those starter homes, then those apartments free up and other people can get into those apartments. We are stagnant when it comes to our housing right now, and that dramatically needs to change.
Thank you, Sam. Deb.
Thank you, Matt. So yes, we do have an affordable housing issue in New Mexico. I'm thinking right now about Roy, New Mexico, where teachers have to live in travel trailers because there is not affordable housing for public school teachers in that community. So it's a problem. And I want to say that we have to speed up permitting. I've spoken to a lot of developers who say it takes entirely too long to get to the point where they can actually build affordable housing here in New Mexico. And so we need to be more efficient about that, making sure that we are staffed in the right ways, that we don't have employee shortages in the offices that approve those permits. I also believe very strongly that if somebody has a roof over their head, we need to do everything we can to keep them under that roof. Too many people are getting evicted. Too many people can't afford to even pay the application fee or junk fees that some corporate landlords want to charge them when they're trying to move into a place. Additionally, I feel very strongly that the state can absolutely work with municipalities to make zoning laws more favorable to families. And next, also, there are a lot of folks in New Mexico who just need to realize that we need housing in their areas and that we need to build.
Thank you, Deb. Gregg.
So I've personally overseen over the last decade, the last couple of years, 44% of all new home starts in the Albuquerque, Santa Fe market have happened in my community and under my watch. These things are doable. I don't think the answer is having the state take away local authority. I think the answer is having the state work in a partnership with these communities to help streamline the permitting process, help set up systems that allow these things to happen more quickly. Because in the development world, make no mistake, time is money. Every day a developer is sitting there waiting for an approval or waiting for a permit is costing that developer money. So a shot clock is something I definitely support because we need to move these deals along. But at the same point in time, I think if you want to bring affordability into the equation and where the state really could get involved, and that's in infrastructure assistance. Let me tell you, we have an infrastructure problem in this state. When we think about bringing new homes online, we need better investments in water systems. We need better investments in wastewater treatment facilities. We need better investments in roads. We need better investments in police and fire services that make these communities attractive to developers to build homes in, and then working with those communities to make sure that we're streamlining the process. You don't want to go in and override existing zoning laws and take away existing property rights and protections from the people that are already there. But there is a way to do this, and we've proved how to do it in Rio Rancho.
Thank you. Our next question comes from our partners and is around workforce and early childhood. Each candidate will have 90 seconds, and we're going to start with Deb. A lack of childcare is a primary driver of the labor shortage. What specific change would you make to align our early childhood and K-12 systems with the needs of the private sector workforce? And which specific state agency will you hold accountable for the ROI of these programs?
Thank you so much. First of all, I would say that this is a statewide issue, that every department should be responsible for helping to move the needle on this, because children are all of our responsibility. I truly support expanding the Opportunity Scholarship so that people who would like to move into child care, early child development, early child care, or early childhood education can have the opportunities to climb the career ladder, to change careers if that's what they want. The state needs to support that change when people are ready to move into those industries. Second, I am, in my education plan, which can be found on my website, debhaaland.com, we are going to move trades into our public schools in a big way. I want to introduce the trades in middle school, thinking about career paths for our students and hands-on training in high school and beyond, so that when our children graduate from high school, they're ready to take on a paid apprenticeship with one of our labor unions or with a local company, building homes, fixing plumbing, infrastructure on roads. These are things that our students need. They need to have opportunities so they can have a future here in New Mexico. We have a culture, we have a tradition, we have history here that needs to be carried on, and our future generations will do that.
Thank you. Sam?
Just a clarification, so we're talking about early childhood care, am I correct?
Workforce and early childhood.
Absolutely. We live in an amazing place where leadership has just decided and willing to fund early childhood care and education, so that from the time you're born in New Mexico until the time you graduate college, that burden is not on any family. The payment of that is from the state. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Now, the challenge will be how we stand this process up, how we ensure that we really do have access to early childhood care, for an example, throughout the entire state. We know there are certain places that are far underserved, that are completely underserved. We have to, from the time the next administration starts, I will ensure that from that moment forward, there is a thorough survey, including and encompassing the entire state, to understand what the providers need, to understand where there might be child care deserts out there, to make sure that the state is truly providing, because we have so many families out there who are going to be relying on that, and that's going to be able to enhance our ability for good jobs and for them to be able to provide for their family. Of course, when it comes to career paths, we need our colleges to focus on training and producing all the child care educators and workers that we possibly can.
Thank you. Gregg.
So you align the employers, with the school districts to make sure that when we're recruiting businesses into the state, we're working directly with the school districts to make sure from a very early age we're aligning with what those company needs are, whether that's in healthcare, whether that's in pharmaceuticals, whether that's in the construction industry, HVAC, and start that off at a very early age. K through 12 is that great opportunity to bring some of those things back into our school system, teach our kids some hands-on skills that allow them to actually go into the workforce. Because if we don't build a strong workforce right now, we're not attracting those jobs into the state because they're looking at the deficiencies in the workforce. And having worked personally with many site selectors, these are the questions they ask. How are you aligning education with the needs of the industries that you're trying to recruit into this state? So building on that workforce is going to be critical. Moving away from that, yes, making sure that there are resources available to help families in the area of having child care so that a mom and dad can work if they need to, or a single mom can get to work, or a single mom can get to school, and making sure that we're providing those resources to help our people in this state be as successful as they possibly can. Because once again, I just don't think we're capitalizing on some of the great things that we have. But career technical education is something that we've invested heavily in Rio Rancho and other districts across the state. I want to see career technical education, or CTEC, in every school district in the state in some manner or form, so that we're building a strong workforce and making sure that opportunity is there for all of our parents and hard workers.
Thank you. Doug.
So we actually have the secretary of our early childhood education and care department here, and I had the chance to get a little briefing from her before we started. Sam, you're right. We do have the resources. We have the resources to put kids through early childhood, public school, child care for all. The problem is that we're not doing a very good job on our product, and the product is the kids that we're graduating. I worked with Gary Johnson when he was governor, and he was the governor who started our charter school movement in this state. But at that time, this is 31 years ago, we were 50th in the nation in performance in our public school system. So fast forward 31 years, we're still 50th, which is kind of terrible. So if we're looking at prepping kids for the workforce, we have to start early. We have to start at pre-K. We have to make sure they're getting the skills that they need to move up and graduate from high school. I am a massive advocate of school choice. I have been a charter school leader for the last 20 years. I think choice in public education is what we need more of in this state. Charter schools are public schools, but if we are at a race to the bottom, and we're at the bottom now, we are not going to deliver a workforce that serves our business community or the companies that we want to import into the state.
Thank you. Duke.
I also worked with Gary Johnson, and in fact, he encouraged me to run for office, and I've got his endorsement. And I have to make it very clear, I love early child care. I believe it's critical to supporting our families. But it's also important to do it lawful, to do it legal, to do it the right way, and to talk to stakeholders and ask them what matters here. How do we spend it? Everyone may not know it, that child care, if done universally and done in total for everyone that is eligible, 0 to 12, this is a $4.2 billion lift. This is larger than SNAP. This is larger than state's obligation to Medicaid. You've got to do it right. You've got to understand it, and we have to agree as stakeholders to address them three major pillars. Is it a work-focused program? Is it about getting people back to work or supporting people in working? Is it an affordability issue? We all love affordability here, and we think it needs to be addressed. But also, is it a child development issue? Are we getting better outcomes? It's not just say we've done it, claim victory. We have to do it in a lawful way. We have to have stakeholder input, and we have to do it in a way that it's sustainable. It's not enough to declare victory, which has been our history in this state. We are not good at execution. It's important on that simple topic that we are extremely focused and do it very well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. And so as the business community, we are really used to thinking on our feet, making quick decisions sometimes because we just don't really have the time. As governor, that's definitely a skill and a trait that must be mastered. So we thought we'd have a little fun and institute a little lightning round. So let me see if I can explain this correctly. We're going to ask you a series of questions that each one of you is going to answer before we go to the next question. Each question will allow 10 seconds at a time. And so we'll start with Sam on this one.
Again,
And it's going back to housing. And if you need me to repeat it, I'm happy to do so. Increased supply via more density in existing neighborhoods or more sprawl in the urban edge?
density. Infrastructure costs are much less when you're doing density. It's better for developers, it's better for the state, it's better for the local community.
Gregg.
Density where it makes sense. You want to make sure that you're putting density in a place where it does have efficient infrastructure and where you're going to get good growth and it's near common services.
Deb.
Density, oh, sorry about that. Density, because it's less of a strain on the environment, for sure.
Duke.
Absolutely density. And we talk about density in other markets like California. You hear mother-in-law quarters. In Hawaii, they're called ohanas. Here we call them locally casitas. We need to have cost-effective and density on common property.
Doug.
Density, but I'm going to agree with Gregg. There's some communities in the state where density doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you're down in the oil patch, you've got a lot of people who need a lot of homes fast, and you're not going to get it in that way.
Great. So we're going to go in the same order. Question number 2, relating to fiscal crisis. In a revenue downturn, cut spending, raise taxes, or draw on revenues? Sam.
Draw on reserves. We don't need to be raising taxes on the people of New Mexico. There's $75 billion in wealth funds.
All right, Gregg, spending, taxes, or draw on reserves?
Oh, cut spending and draw on reserves to make sure that we're not compromising services throughout the state. But definitely cut wherever you can to make sure that you're living within your means.
Okay. Deb.
Draw on reserves and invest that money so that it benefits the people of New Mexico.
Duke.
Cut spending and do it in a way that's compassionate, that understands that we still have to have that safety net intact. Do the responsible thing, cut waste, cut abuse, cut spending, and treat people well.
Doug.
Cut spending and as necessary, draw on reserves. And I'm going to give you 7 seconds back.
Appreciate that. Something that I know many of you have heard on the campaign trail related to zoning. Should the state offer pre-approved building plans to bypass local red tape? Yes or no? Sam?
I have to go first every time.
It's because you're closest to me.
The answer is yes. Yes, I think we should. I mean, if they're pre-approved, let's get it done, and let's cut out the red tape. Again, that's what I'm all about, cutting out the red tape.
Gregg.
I support pre-approved building plans, but you need to collaborate with the communities because, once again, every community in the state is very unique in its own way, so you can't take a one-size-fits-all approach.
Deb.
With the stakeholders at the table and using the right process, pre-approved.
Duke.
Absolutely yes.
Doug.
I think pre-approved plans can be useful, but not every developer is going to want a pre-approved plan. So, I think it's a function of improved zoning and improved cooperation with the state on infrastructure.
Thank you.
There's one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got excited. All right, the last question, last round. Workforce. In one phrase, how would you keep our college graduates in New Mexico? Sam.
Good paying jobs with successful businesses and career pathways that are truly career pathways.
Gregg.
Create opportunity where our kids want to stay here and incentivize them to stay here, especially if they're in certain professions, going into rural communities in healthcare. Incentivize them with forgiving student debt to keep them here.
Deb.
Ensure that our children can read sooner, that they have a quality public education, and that they have opportunities when they graduate, such as what I mentioned earlier.
Duke.
I'm thankful to have the opportunity to stay in New Mexico. I'm thankful to have my son stay in New Mexico. Now I have 2 granddaughters. I want them to stay in New Mexico. That means opportunities and a vibrant economy.
Doug.
Economic diversification, more support for small businesses. We create most of the jobs in the state. Lower tax system. Quite frankly, most people stay in New Mexico because it's the most beautiful place in the world.
Believe it or not, we have reached our last segment, and I know that all of you were a little bit worried about having just a few seconds to give us your responses, so we appreciate you being thoughtful on the time. And we really appreciate you all coming and speaking to our business community. We appreciate you all taking the time on a weeknight to come here. And so this is our last round, and you all are going to have 90 seconds for the question. Doug, we're going to start with you. Looking at the business leaders in this room today, I'm going to give you a second to look at them. What is the single most important thing you want the New Mexico business community to remember about how you would govern, and how will you ensure your administration partners with them rather than creating hurdles?
So it's a great question because sometimes as business people, we feel like we're operating in a vacuum. We don't have access to government. Getting someone from an economic development department sometimes is impossible to have them call you back. And I think having a seat at the table directly with the governor and the decision makers makes a lot of sense. So a few things that I would do. I think we need to create a business advisory council within the governor's office made up of business leaders around the state and people from the state and local chamber that can advise the governor and go back to its members around the state to ensure that policy that is made at the state level actually impacts members and businesses around the state. I think we need to have a regulatory review of every new regulation. So we should require that to ensure that we know what the costs are. And if the costs are higher for small businesses, we shouldn't be passing those regulations. Because we have to know what the cost-benefit analysis to all the laws that we managed to promulgate at the legislative level. And lastly, I am a firm believer, and we've all talked about this, we need to lower our tax burden here. We were recently ranked as one of the highest tax burdens in the country. In our region, Texas has 0 personal income tax. Arizona's 2.5. Colorado's 3. We're 6. That is not a place where people want to come and do business. If they have to pay more taxes, they can go to Arizona.
Thank you. Sam.
So I want all of the small business folks out there, whether or not you own a small business, manage one, or work at a small business, to know that I have spent my entire adult life running a small business of one type or another. I've had success at that. I know what it's like to have employees. I know what it's like to sign the front of a paycheck. I know what it's like to have a line of credit that keeps creeping up and realizing that not only do you have payroll tomorrow, but you got it in 2 weeks from now as well. I know what that feels like. I also know the reward and the responsibility that you have for, as small business owners, for providing for so many employees and their families by making sure your business is running the way it should. I will tell you, I will be as accessible to business as any governor in the history of this state. I am so committed to it. I know where that is where job growth is. I know what it means to make sure that we have a regulatory environment that is consistent, where we're not moving the goalposts back and forth. I know what it's like to have government get in the way instead of supporting small businesses and businesses. And as I said earlier, it's 99%. The backbone of our state is small businesses. I will never forget that. Last thing, the tax code needs to be used to incentivize business, not penalize it. Thank you.
Thank you. Duke.
As I said from the very beginning, New Mexico is not a poor state. We are absolutely a poorly run state. And it's time that voters push back on the candidates. Everyone on this table, everyone standing or sitting up here, you should ask for more. And you should make sure that they have the skill sets for this next decade. Make sure that they can read a P&L. Make sure they've covered a payroll, not just spoke about it, but actually did it. I've been hiring employees since 1979, whether it's Loveless, the state of New Mexico, Diagnostic, you name it. I've run every size company in this state, and I do not make apologies for it because I love and believe in this state. My family's here, my future's here, and I know we deserve better. Lower those taxes, build our wealth, and learn to do the difference. Hear me out. One thing you always talk about when you talk about New Mexico is spending. We love spending on new programs. You should demand that your leaders start investing. Not just say because we have the money, we can buy every program. Make sure if the dollar doesn't return value to you as a taxpayer, if it doesn't make your life better, not bitter, then you should push back. We owe it to you. I have lived the New Mexico experience. I know what it's like to be on Medicaid, to be on SNAP, and you deserve better. And so do our young people, and I promise you this, the change is coming.
Thank you. Deb.
Thank you so much. When I was Secretary of the Interior, we moved a clean energy transition forward for our entire country. We stood up 12 offshore wind projects when there were none, 50 solar projects across the Southwest, millions of acres of land that was protected as a result of us bringing people to the table. Collaboration is key when you want to get work done. Nobody should be in the dark about what's coming. And what I can promise the business community is that I will always have you at the table. Stakeholders deserve to weigh in on those decisions before they're made because it produces a better product. When we were working to move transition lines through the Southwest with 7 types of land, we brought all those people together because we didn't want anyone being in the dark about this. So I will promise you that I will always talk to you. You can always talk to me. We can make sure that you are in the light about every decision that's made because, as we know, business, small businesses, business in New Mexico, that keeps the lights running for so many people. It keeps roofs over our children's heads, and I will be that kind of governor.
Thank you. Gregg.
Well, I've got a little experience in this area, cutting red tape and trying to make a business environment that fosters growth and fosters success in our communities. And so I will bring that same mentality to the governor's office. We will have an advisory board, and we will review some of the policies and regulations that have been implemented over the years. We will look at them. We will understand whether they're relevant or not. If they need to be removed, then we will work with the legislature to remove what needs to be removed, and then administratively, whatever can be removed, that's what we will do. We need common sense approaches to whether it's permitting, whether it's design elements, whether it's just helping businesses with their tax filings, helping businesses with incentives. Investing in the businesses that we have in New Mexico is going to be critical. I'm big on economic development. I love recruiting a new company into the city, but we do this thing in Sandoval County called economic gardening, where we get out and we work with the small businesses to grow organically the companies that have already invested in our community. You guys are here and in New Mexico, so my answer to you, speaking to the business leaders in this room, you know how best to run your business. I too have run a small business. I too have signed the front of a paycheck. I too have had to make a payroll. And I know that when government came in and tried to tell me how to run my business, it didn't work out well for me. So you have my commitment that I will be working one-on-one with all of you to make sure that we are the most business-friendly state in the 50.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We really appreciate you giving our time. I would really like to just ask us if we could give a round of applause to all the staff from the chambers. We also had several amazing volunteers. We have some great media partners, and we really appreciate everybody in this community coming together. Matt, I'll turn it over to you if you want to thank our candidates here.
Yeah, well, most importantly, we all want to thank you. Let's give you all a round of applause. Thank you all for coming. We truly appreciate the commitment you have to making informed decisions, especially when it comes to, like many of you said, how beautiful and how important this state is. So be informed, go out and vote, tell your friends, and let's make this election, one to remember. Let's make sure that we have engagement, let's make sure we have conversation, and let's make sure we have really an energy around what I think was shown on this panel, which was a true love for the state of New Mexico.
Thank you. Thank you. Everyone get home safely.